First things first, the Bucks with a double whammy, losing to the Hawks without Trae, and then losing Giannis. So now what?
Wow.
Paul George coming off a huge game, but wait till you hear what Charles Barkley had to say about him. And the Phoenix Suns looking to close out the West tonight so they can book a trip to the finals. Hi, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna, Nick, Brandon, Kevin Wilds. Nick, two questions. A, do you book your own travel? And B, do the Phoenix Suns pull it out tonight?
Yes and yes.
Interesting.
I'm not a diva like the other three co-hosts. I book my own travel. I'm a man of the people. I don't have assistants. I don't have Brandon, send it to the front desk.
Your wife does everything for you.
And bring me a protein shake. We start, though, this morning with the little Bucks Hawks, and then we'll get to Brandon's travels. Game 4 last night, Trae Young was announced as a no-go right before tip-off. No go, no problem. How about next man up? Lou Williams. When do we say that? In his first postseason start, and he delivered 21 points for Sweet Lou. But the big story last night, the big story was this right here. Giannis landing awkwardly in the third quarter. Turns out he hyperextended his knee. He was done for the night. He'll undergo tests later today. We'll see what happens there. Hawks running away with it after that. They get the win. Here's Coach Bud on where Giannis was after the game.
He's in the locker room with the guys and just addressed the group and, but nothing, above and beyond or, we'll see how he is tomorrow.
If he's able to play, it'll be great. If it's not, we still got to be ready. You are concerned and you don't want to see anybody, especially your teammate, get hurt, but you kind of have to shift to somebody has to step up, and most people have to step up.
It's the East Conference Finals. There's no excuses. It doesn't matter. Whoever's playing, who's not playing. They got guys out. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's banged up. Everybody has injuries. You got to fight through it and win.
All right, Nick, we still don't know how healthy Trae will be. Do you think the Bucks can still win the series if they're going to be without Giannis? Oh, but first let me mention, how about this? Nice move by Trae Young. Hold on, Nick. Look what Trae sent after the game, sending my thoughts and prayers to Giannis. Really nice move by him doing that. Now let me get to the question. You don't know what you're going to have. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to have with Trae. Do you think the Bucks can still do this? If they are going to be without Giannis, can they pull this together?
I mean, if the Hawks, miss Trae for Game 5, yeah, the Bucks can win Game 5, and then their worst-case scenario is a Game 7 at home. Obviously, they'll need Drew Holiday to play better. They'll need Chris Middleton to be the good Chris Middleton, not the inconsistent Chris Middleton. But I just got to be honest, and, we're all professionals, and our job's to get here and deliver every day. This is like an emotional gut punch for me as a sports fan. I've been, and I know it's a knee injury. There's bigger tragedies in the world. I understand that, and we don't even know the full extent of it. But we've all watched these playoffs and said, oh my God, all the injuries. But at least none of the injuries suffered during this postseason seem to be traumatic long-term injuries. Like Harden's hamstring was obviously bad, and Kyrie's ankle injury looks scary, and Anthony Davis dealing with the groin, all those things, but those are basketball injuries, and it's like, oh, okay, if it was the regular season, they'd be out a few weeks and then back. Kawhi, there's a little gray area around what exactly has happened to him. Brandon, Giannis's injury last night made me sick to my stomach.
Right.
Not because it was gruesome in nature. I mean, it was hard to look at. But because this is the unfairness of professional sports. Giannis has done everything right. Giannis has been an Iron Man. Giannis is on the precipice of a career professional defining 3 weeks. And to have
changing
this happen,
his legacy.
And I know you... Exactly. And I know football players and basketball players, but pro athletes have an amazing ability to compartmentalize, to watch someone be carted off, and then 60 seconds later have to go perform. And I give those guys credit for being able to do it. I'm sure you suffered some major injuries, and you were on the field when people suffered even worse ones. But just me watching from home last night, I wanted to turn the game off. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I just felt so sad for Giannis because I don't think he's back these playoffs. Hopefully he avoids massive surgery. And it just seems so random and unfair. Like, that's where I'm at this morning.
I had the same feeling, but for different reasons. For me, it was more about, you know, the entire year, this NBA year has been weird. It's been awkward. You showed a lot of those guys on that list of the superstars going down at the worst times. It's almost like losing Patrick Mahomes. You got Russell Wilson going down, Lamar Jackson, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Jamal Adams, and I can go on, Julio Jones, and, you know, Stephon Diggs. Like, that's what we're seeing in basketball. Our biggest stars, the guys that we tune in to watch, and the guys that we're going to pay the big bucks to come watch live, they're not there. And so that's what was disappointing for me and frustrating last night. Obviously for Giannis, 100%. Like you said, this is a guy who is changing the narrative. You got guys on the other end who are afraid to fail in front of people. And Giannis, an easy 30 and an easy 10, but struggling from the free throw line, struggling at 3, he's still getting it done. And, like, this is his moment. So 100% disappointing. But to your question, Jenna, can the Bucks still win it? It's going to be tough. You know, do they have a chance? Yes. But Giannis there, you know, it was still tough for them. This was going to be a tough series. So now Giannis is down, and I just don't know what you're going to get because you got Chris Middleton, who one day we got, you know, guys on our show, Nick, you know, comparing the duo to Shaq and Kobe, and he's going lights out, but then he follows up those games with 16 points and like 6 for 17. That can't happen, right? Like, we need consistency, especially when your biggest guy, your biggest star goes down. So can they win it? Yes, but it's going to be extremely tough. But before this, it was already even, Wilds.
Yeah, certainly the Bucks can certainly still win this series, but the Hawks showed something else that they don't quite feel like Nick felt. And I'm sure everyone personally is rooting for Giannis, and the sort of emotional kind of arc of, like, you saw him down in pain, you felt bad, then you saw the replay, you're like, oh no, this is even worse. And then you started to think, like, optimistically. All of a sudden it's like, all right, he can walk on his own, and he's in the tunnel, and then he comes back to the game. And it's like, hold on, is he going back in the game? It was really confusing. So I was trying to make sense out of that. Nick, I thought he wasn't going to go back in the game. It was obviously too dangerous. Long term, they just didn't know. You got to do the tests and everything. But I thought that he came back out there to show his teammates, hey, this is not a catastrophic injury right now. Like, I'm okay. It's you guys should still give them a little bit of an emotional charge, because they really let go of the rope after he went out. Like, the Hawks saw blood in the water, and they went right after it. So when we talk about, like, I'm not saying the Hawks didn't feel bad for Giannis, but they very quickly was like, we have a job to do, and our job is to put the ball in the basket, and they did it aggressively, and there was no let up. Whereas the Bucks felt like, oh, let's get back to Milwaukee. There was such a sort of emotional, pouring out.
And the Bucks, listen, the Bucks were sleepwalking through the first half, and then the beginning of the second half, powered by Giannis, I was like, oh, they're going to win. Like, they've gotten it together. They cut it down to 5. I thought the Bucks were going to come back. And then seeing that injury, it seemed like the entire team let go of the ropes, the exact right word. Brandon, I do want to give credit. One of the other storylines of this postseason has been fan misbehavior. I know this is going to sound odd, but Andre Iguodala pointed it out. I thought the Hawks fans, who during the course of play have been giving Giannis a hard time, as they should, as the opposing fans. I thought the Hawks fans handled this injury perfectly. I thought they gave Giannis and the moment the respect it deserved. You contrast it with the really ugly 90 seconds after Durant's injury in Toronto, where fans seemed like impulsively cheer. They even had to be quieted down by Kyle Lowry. Like, what are you guys doing? I thought the Atlanta fans made the whole league look good by saying, okay, we're competing, we're rooting for our team, but in this moment, let's all shut up and kind of, hold our collective breaths. I thought that was one of the few bright spots in a really tough moment last night.
No, I'm glad that you brought that out because that was a big story a couple weeks ago, especially when Trae Young was in that series competing against the Knicks. Yep. And so that back and forth, we saw some disgusting things. And we're like, yo, how do you have this discussion where you